Recorded live from a secret semi-trailer full of Charmin, it's like gold, baby! It's the Photo Happy Hour podcast. Hey, and welcome everybody. I'm your Photo Happy Hour bartender, Michael Mowbray, and I'm serving up 2-for-1 shots of high-proof photographic wisdom. Ooh. Joining me behind the bar are Dan Frievalt and Caylor. Say hey, guys.
What's up, everyone? It's Dan Frievalt here. I'm going to shake you a martini of happiness today.
Hey, folks, I'll be right back. I'm going to go over in the back and get some more kegs. I'm just saying. But
So, concept here, Photo Happy Hour is we drink and we talk about photography. And the more we drink, the more intelligent we get. At least we think we do. Hopefully you guys do too. So, every week we have a topic. One topic we're going to talk about this week is roadblocks for your business. You know, what kind of roadblocks are you facing? I think we're all kind of facing, I don't know, kind of a big one right now.
Yeah, absolutely. With everything that's going on with the world as we know it is shifting and changing. So we are all facing a huge roadblock. And I guess the bright side of everything is we're kind of all facing it together.
True. Yeah, everybody's in the same boat right now, aren't they?
well, if we were in a boat, that would be a cool thing too. But of course, we have to stay 6 feet away from him in the boat. So I hope it's a big boat.
Very big boat.
Yeah.
And it's raining all day today. So,
Have you seen any animals getting together 2 by 2? That's what I've been wondering.
I better watch. I'll watch for it.
With this virus thing, and then I saw that they had locust plagues in Africa, and then there was an earthquake in Utah. And I'm starting to think, if one of you guys just all of a sudden raptures out of here, I'm done. I'm just done. That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy times. And, I think all of us have been in business long enough through 9/11 and Great Depression and kind of have faced some of these.
Wait. I'm not that old.
Okay, Great Depression.
Did I say I meant the
Great Depression, not the Great Recession.
The Great Recession, yes.
Which I'm having on the top of my head right now. I'm having the Great Recession on my hairline.
Yeah, but that's not one of the roadblocks we're going to talk about today.
No.
In fact, let's not talk about hair at all. The heck with hair.
Unless we're talking about hair of the dog, which we might need tomorrow, depending on how much we drink during this episode.
Cheers.
That calls for a sociable.
A sociable. Drink. So when we call for a sociable, if you've got a drink in hand, and hopefully you do when you're listening to this for Photo Happy Hour, when we call a sociable, everybody drinks. That's what we mean. That's a Wisconsin thing, I think, isn't it? Or is that a world? Let's make this a worldwide thing. We call a sociable, everybody, whatever you got in your hand, you drink.
Yeah, and let's make the virtual happy hour a worldwide thing, right?
I like that too.
Yeah, be happy.
If we can't go to the bars and drink, we might as well drink virtually because, then we're not drinking alone.
I do think that hell froze over this week. Did you guys see that meme?
I did.
Where there was snow in hell, and Satan was saying, either the Vikings won the Super Bowl or Wisconsin closed the bars.
Oh, yeah.
So what have you guys done? As Dan was saying, we all made it through the recession after 2001, and we made it through the Great Recession after the financial crisis and the collapse of the housing market in 2008. So what kind of things did you guys do, and what worked for you guys?
Stay a course. First of all, don't panic and try to do too many things that are different and out of the ordinary, because I think right now I see especially that, people are doing things that they're not used to. The kids are out of school, they're home and driving parents crazy, or maybe that's just my house right now. But I think we like normalcy. It would be great if we keep things a little bit more normal. I think people are going to be more happy with that or comfortable. And so I think part of it is if we keep our businesses going. Look at right now. You want to go out to eat? Wait, you can't.
No.
Yeah. You want to go to the bar? Wait, no, you can't do that either. So it is things that are not normal. I think that if we stay the track of what our normal business plan is to a point, there's going to be some changes that we're going to have to make, obviously, but try to be consistent as well.
Yeah, there's a reason why for you guys and for myself, where we got to where we are today, and that was doing what we were doing. So we were doing something right. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be in business, right? So, so it's either the quality of the photography, the customer service, the experience, the products, the whole 9 yards. And people are panicking. So they're looking and maybe they're going to make a 180-degree change. And that might not necessarily be the right thing to do, especially if everything was working before. Thoughts on that?
Well, that, and one thing that I kind of, I've been up and down this week. I'm not going to say I was all, happy and skipping around like, hey, everything's gonna be fine. I've had, ups and downs, and what I've come to the kind of the realization is that I rebuilt my business completely, starting over with no clients, no equipment. I was very like, oh, what am I going to do? Like, I'm starting from scratch. Everyone's got a head start on me. And how am I going to make this work? And at least, and then I went into 9/11 and then different things. So what I'm taking away from all this, like I said earlier, is we're on the level playing field. We are all experiencing this. Like when 9/11 hit, like maybe restaurants and things in New York suffered and they had to rebuild and they were stressed about everything. This is worldwide, and so, if we can really key in on our systems and really, what I did is I really went through and figured out what I really liked, what I really loved to do. And that was high school seniors, and put all my effort into that and change systems and tighten things up. So then when my busy season, or when the normal season started in summer, I was ready to hit the ground running and had a clear vision of what I wanted to do. And so I encourage, if you're struggling with this, is to really key in on those systems. And, everyone's on a level playing field. So if you come out prepared and positive, and if you're doing positive things now, I think you're going to be okay.
Well, that's some good points there too, because if you've been struggling with your business, maybe this is the perfect opportunity to just wipe the slate clean, really think it through, and start fresh.
Absolutely. Now, just out of curiosity, I see a lot of people on social media now going, okay, everyone's in a tight situation. Let's start giving stuff away.
All right.
What do you guys think? You think that's a
No.
good path to follow right now?
Well, there are some studies out there, and it's not necessarily photography, but there are some studies out there that in times of recession or depression where money is tight, that people or businesses that promote and are a good value or provide a good value for the money spent, whether that's through discounting or providing a little extra, they do seem to do better in times where the money is tight. That being said, there wasn't anybody giving stuff away for free during the Great Depression. There wasn't anybody giving away stuff for free in any of the recessions that really came through the other side, sitting well from a business standpoint. So I totally concur. Be careful about starting to build this expectation that everything's free, because there's a lot of people that were doing that before we ran into these troubles. And if you're going to exacerbate the problem, yeah, there's your college word right there. If you're going to exacerbate the problem when times are tough, that's what people are going to remember. It's like, well, that's the person we can go to and get free stuff. They were giving stuff away for free. Why would we pay for it? Be very careful with that.
Yeah, and everyone wants to do good things, especially in times of crisis. And I agree with that. And I put something out today for free prom dress sessions, because some of my seniors were very depressed that they aren't getting prom sessions. But that doesn't cut into, I feel,
to your regular stuff. No,
to my regular stuff. And,
Yeah.
but someone who shoots a prom, I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm pulling money away from them, but they're not having a prom anyways. And so
Right.
what I hope to do is encourage other photographers, if you are a prom shooter, to do something like this, and do some goodwill. But like you said, you have to be careful, how much we give away. Or what I'm seeing is a lot of photographers, again, because we're thinking from our heart, that's what we do, is, give things away, or showing different things, or getting frantic and like, I need to do all this stuff. But I think if you key in on your business, instead of trying also to help everyone, they have some give and take, I think you'll be better off in the long run. Doing a little charity stuff, but then really focusing your time. And, you know, as photographers and artists, we have a hard time focusing. I know I do. And so that's what I'm trying to encourage you to do, is focus.
Well, and maybe focus on trying to make sure that when we do have people come in, when everything gets back to somewhat more normal, that the experience that they have is going to be reflected on what we're about, you know, the professionalism, the excitement, the fun, the end product being a really nice end product, a professional grade portrait or whatever. But so if you do gift something, and, you know, maybe I know like your prom thing, I was thinking the same thing. The kids up here are already bummed about, and we bought this dress, we're not going to be able to use it. And so absolutely we can do that. But I'm hoping that the experience that we give them or let them have with this offer would warrant them to come back when it's time for senior portraits this summer. You know, I don't expect anything back, but I'm hoping that what we do will gain us some business later on down the road.
Well, and I think those are both great examples. You're not giving away the entire house. For example, it's not like a restaurant giving away, you know, we're going to give away all of our meals for free for the next week, which would be fantastic, especially with people hungry and stuff like that. You know, you're more like doing a taste test. So you guys aren't necessarily doing prom sessions anyway, right? Where people are coming in with their dress and paying for it, because that's just not, I mean, quite honestly, it's not a typically a good money making business thing for either of you guys, and wouldn't be for me either. But you can use it as an entree into your business. People get a chance to experience you. You're doing something nice for them. You're doing nothing else right now anyway. And it's kind of a win all the way around. And you're not cannibalizing any of the core business that you would have had anyway.
Absolutely. And I've been doing this kind of on the lowdown for the last couple of years, because it's just an added benefit. And I saw at this time of year, always my past seniors wanting to sell their prom dresses. So they would post on their Instagram stories, their prom dress, or, you know, I only worn once, you know, selling it. And their pictures weren't that great, you know, unfortunately, or they like had it like cut off because they're probably not dating that guy anymore. So it was like a cropped photo of them in their dress in prom. And so it's been a marketing thing that I've done the last couple of years to say, hey, come on in with your prom dress. Let's do a quick, you know, 30-minute session. And then you have cool images that you can share on your social media, and you can tag me. And then maybe it'll help you sell your prom dress, and it would help market me. So I've been doing that. It's just this year I opened it up to, you know, class of 2021 as well as class of 2020. Anyone who has come to me, or if you haven't come to me, I open it up to everyone. So it's something that I've always done. I've just opened it up a little bit further under the situation.
But see, they're kind of paying you anyhow. They're paying you with marketing your services, and that's the thing. Just to throw it out there in the bulk and say, "Ooh, here you go, everybody," and spill it and let it splash, and you know, whoever takes it, and then you don't know anything about it. You don't know or gain any investment or return on the investment. I guess that's the difference. You don't just, I guess, and it's hard because, like you said, we're all like heartfelt people and want to do good, but at the same sense, if we do that too, if everybody did that, no one would have any business. So, right. You know, but if you do it as a return on investment, then I think we're all better off for that.
And shifting gears, you know, my background, just so people know, I spent quite a few years in advertising. I worked at a large ad agency. So I know a little bit about marketing and branding, and been through a few different recessions, and have always been intrigued by how companies, you know, larger companies make it through tough times. One of the classic Great Depression case studies was Campbell's Soup. The president of Campbell's Soup continued to advertise throughout the Great Depression because they felt like, A, people still needed food, B, they still needed to know about Campbell's Soup and the fact that Campbell's Soup was a good value, and it kind of met all those needs. It was a fairly inexpensive meal, and it was a good value. So they continued to advertise quite heavily throughout the Great Depression. guess who came out with top market share after the Great Depression? Campbell Soup. So while everybody else,
Sorry, I wasn't quick enough on that.
You're a half a beat slow there.
Missed
I was,
by
dri-
that
I was
much.
drinking, I was drinking my wine, so
I can see that. But the point I'm making there is that we're all going to be tight on cash because we're not having as much cash coming in because we just don't have clientele, because it's hard to photograph somebody when they're staying at home and we have to stay at home, and it's hard to take Skype portraits, I guess. But anyway, that's a whole different story.
It's been done.
Yeah,
it's been done. I know we're going to go way off track and we go on
yeah.
that road. So, but the idea is, with everybody else, if a lot of people are pulling back, you've got a greater opportunity to stand out. This is actually your opportunity to go out there and make some noise, whether that's through advertising, which is kind of old school, or whatever else you do with social media, through promotion, through anything that's going to get you out there and get engaged with your potential market. This is your opportunity to do that.
What you mentioned is people are home with their families, and it's not a norm for a lot of people. Personally, I normally work from home, or I'm alone this time of year, or traveling, speaking. I'm not doing a lot of sessions because it's cold and crummy in Wisconsin. But Stephanie, my wife, has been home, and it's been kind of great because it's like, hey, I have someone to talk to. And she was kind of freaking out at first because she's used to being around a lot of people, but she's enjoying it too, and time together. So as portrait photographers, I think family portraits are people are gonna realize the importance of family. And we have a huge opportunity, not to take advantage of the situation, but to be there, like Michael said, when everything bounces back. And I think it's going to bounce back quickly because, again, we're all in the same thing. It's not like a recession in a sense. I'm hoping like everyone's cooped up, so maybe everyone's going to get out and want to, like, they're going to be a little leery to spend, but hey, they're going to spend on something that's important to them. And I think this time alone with the family, they're going to realize family is number one.
Absolutely. I think what you're going to see, my prediction is you're going to see, when this is all said and done, however long it takes, who knows, you're going to see something similar to what happened right after World War II. Because World War II, everybody had to pull back. They had to ration. You couldn't wear your nylons, your ration for your food and your gas and everything else.
What would I do if I couldn't wear my nylons?
I don't know.
Nylons?
You know what they used to do? They used to draw like a line on the back. Ladies would draw a line on the back of their legs to make it look like the seam of nylons.
You are old.
Like they were. Yeah, no,
you are old.
I saw that in a movie.
Oh, sure.
All right, that's it. Enough. We should start drinking again.
Everybody have a drink.
Right.
There's a point to the story here. The point to the story is what happened after World War II. We had the biggest economic boom this country has ever seen. That's when the roaring 50s, I want to call it, but that's when all these homes were built and everybody was buying cars, and then eventually televisions, and that's when we saw increased productivity because we were on a wartime footing for so long and people had to hold back so long. And then finally they got through the war. Now they have jobs. Now they have money. Holy cats, I'm going to town, I'm going to get me some frozen TV dinners and one of them there TVs and in a 57 Chevy. Although you couldn't probably buy that in 1950. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's when cars had fins and men were men, I guess.
Men were men. Well, and speaking of which, so I thought of a quote today, and I love history, but I'm not real good with dates and quotes and stuff. But I thought of all things, the movie, Apollo 13, and say, Houston, we have a problem, and there's a line in there, something that someone said something, and the other guy says, excuse me, I think this is going to be our finest hour, so
Gene, I can't think of the guy's name, but Ed guy. Ed Harris,
that guy
that played him. Yeah. The guy who ran Mission Control. I can't think of his last name, but it was Gene, whatever.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, having a positive attitude and think, doom, it's easy to think doom and gloom, but it's like, hey, maybe this could be our finest hour. Like this could bring the whole country together and just make us think things differently, see the world differently, love each other more. Maybe the wine's getting to me. I'm getting all foo-foo.
No, I'm an optimist too. Believe it or not, I'm an optimist. I think the same thing. I think once we get through this all, it's horrible. But once we get through this all, I think it is going to pull people together. It's bringing family back as a nucleus. It's getting us to focus on things that are important and things that aren't so important. Although I see everybody's still well connected and, iPhoning and Netflixing like crazy, but hey, we have to have some sort of coping mechanisms. But I think you're right. I think we're going to get through this and we're going to be stronger because of it. And everybody's going to be more connected and care more too.
It could happen. I think it will. I really do. But you know what? There's a lot of other roadblocks in our businesses. Let's talk about one that's not as huge as what this virus is. Like maybe for example, let's do a simple one just to get back on track here. What about clients that don't come in or don't show up for a session, don't show up for appointments? That's a roadblock that we see in photography a lot. Let's maybe hit on that a little bit.
Well, one thing I've always done is they have to prepay for the session. Once you start to make people prepay for the session, guess what? They show up. If they don't prepay for the session, the chance of them not showing to me is about 50%. And that's one of the things that made me change to a prepay for all sessions. As a matter of fact, most of my sessions, they prepay online. They book online, they prepay online. And then I'm pretty sure they're going to show up. Or if they can't make it for whatever reason, they contact me. They send me an email or give me a call or shoot me a text and say, hey, I'm sorry, I ran into this thing. I got to be out of town. Can we reschedule? Okay, great. Then that's going to be fine. Sitting there for, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour waiting for them. Oh, heck no. How long do you guys wait? I got 15 minutes. That's it. If they show up at 20 minutes, I say we're going to have to reschedule.
I give them.
I don't care if I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
We have to reschedule. There's a respect thing.
Yeah, I give them a call if they're not there. If they're 5 minutes late, I'll give them a call just to verify. Yeah.
I'll do the same thing. But here it's a kind of a strange situation because I'm only about 20 miles from Eastern time zone. So, I'm in an area that some of my clients, guests, whatever, are Eastern time zone an hour ahead of us and some are in Central. So I always say when we make the appointment, it's Central time. What time is it where you are right now? Because a lot of people still can get confused. So it's 2:00 right now. So your session is at 2:00 on Thursday, whatever. I make sure that, but then if they are late, I do call right away within 5 minutes, say, hey, are we still on? Or were you thinking the wrong time zone or whatever? So, of course, in my case, I always get people to show up an hour early because they're coming from the Eastern time zone.
That's almost as bad. I'm never ready an hour early.
I know. So, and I'm not doing somebody else. So
as long as those going along those lines, if you're having a really crummy session, do you just take them to the Eastern side and say, "Oh, we're done.
Time's up. That's
Time's
it.
up.
Okay.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Everybody in the car. We got to drive a little bit. Oh, we're out of time.
Too bad.
But yeah, prepay definitely number one. Number two, I have automatic emails. I use Successware as my studio management software, so auto emails go out. So when they book a session, I have all that. It's all automatic. It's like having an assistant that's calling them to remind them, but it's an email that goes out that reminds them. I also do a free clothing consultation a week before their session, and I also set that up the day they call me to book their session. So then I'm not making several calls either. It's about being efficient. And they come in a week before. I look at their outfits. It's really a way for me to pre-sell things to the parents because they're in my sales room when we do that. And so parents are looking at albums and all that. They're getting an idea of what this is going to look like and what things I can do for them. I'm looking at outfits, but it reconfirms that this is what we're going to get done during the session. This is where my studio is. So you can find it because I've had that too. They're running late and they can't find the studio and they're freaking out and they're stressed. And then they get there and like, oh, now we got to start a session. It's all this anxiety. So it helps all those things.
Yes.
And it's super important. At 15 minutes, and what I do too is I'm smart with scheduling it. And I don't want to say I'm smart, but let's just say I learned my
Let's go
lesson.
with it.
So
We'll just
we'll go
make
with
the
it.
assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
we'll
give
go
you
with the
that one.
assumption.
We'll give
We'll
you
go
that.
ahead and give me a flyer on that one. But I learned through the years that if I just booked it whenever, they would sit there and chit chat with me for like an hour, and I would too because I like to talk. So I would schedule it a half an hour before my actual session that is coming in that I'm shooting that day. So then it does a bunch of different things. For one, we have to end. We have to end it. For two, the next person's coming in and they may know them, they may not know them. They're excited. Oh, this place looks busy. Even though I just do one session a day, like, man, this is hopping, man. I'm excited, and they're excited. And they're seeing the other girl coming in, and there's all like, oh, this is fun. It sounds just like
the
that.
only 2 sessions you had all week.
Exactly.
Well, and that's just it. But a lot of it is, to address a lot of roadblocks, it comes down to how we schedule or create our schedule. Don't just leave it up for chance, and we do it purposefully. Like he's like, perfect. I mean, awesome. Let's schedule it so that they see each other coming and going. Absolutely, and it's better for you. I mean, why bank things with 2 or 3 hours in between, and then you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs, and you don't have enough time to do anything productive, but you have to sit there because you have to wait. That's just inefficient. So it's a great idea.
I do a similar thing, and I call it pants time. If I've got to put on pants, then I want to make sure that all the things that I need to wear pants for are all scheduled back to back. Because otherwise,
then if someone doesn't show you, like, I showered for nothing.
Exactly. If I'm going to shower,
I had to shave.
I want 2 or 3. This reminds me of one of the best marketing stories I ever heard. I had a client years ago, Rick Spusta. He owned a place called Wanakee Remodeling, and when he was first getting started, all he had was one truck. So what he wanted to do is he wanted to look bigger than the business actually was. So he painted a number on one side of the truck, and it was like truck number 8. And then on the other side, he painted truck number 17. He had one truck, but you could only see one side of the truck at a time. And as people saw it driving around town, they were like, holy, he's got 8 trucks. And they'd see the other side a little bit later. He's got 17 trucks. Wow, they must be really successful. And his business boomed after that. And I'm like, what a simple concept. And, it's a little, marketing-ish, but oh man, it really helped him grow.
It could have been his favorite numbers. I mean, really, 8 and 17. So, there's no gray area. They're just his favorite numbers. That's all.
When it did grow to be the largest remodeling company in our area. So
brilliant.
There you go.
Something. Yes.
I like it. What's another roadblock? Make you think hard.
People coming in, I get this all the time. People ask me this question. How do you get people to come in the middle of the day to do in-person sales sessions? So
I don't know. What's the answer?
What's the answer? I was waiting for you to tell me. I schedule it. Yeah. Yeah. I schedule it. And, if they can take off for doctor appointments, for dental appointments, this is very important. And so people schedule it. And when I first transitioned into in-person sales, that was one of my roadblocks in my mind. And I think what happens to a lot of us, including me, is we put these roadblocks up in our minds.
Right.
If we just believe it and own it and treat our business professionally, people are like, okay, I tell them this is when it is. And I never say no. And that's another thing. So do you have any appointments after 5 o'clock? I can't get here. Yes. 1 day a month, you can come in after 5 o'clock. However, if you want to book that, you better book it soon because I only have it 1 day a month. If you're excited, you want to see your photos, you can come in next week at Thursday at noon. Can you take off at lunch hour? Oh yeah, man, we're excited. And if the mom says, I don't know if I can get off, guess what? The senior daughters just got done with the session. They're like, yeah, we're going to make this work. We're going to move everything we have to see these images. We're going to be there. So
absolutely.
That's what I do.
Yeah. And that makes me think too, is one technique I've always used is, and it's trying to make things more common for people. Like you're talking about doing afternoon in-person sales sessions. Well, what I would say is, most of my clients do this, or one of the most common times that people schedule their in-person viewing and ordering session is 1 o'clock. And, so along those lines, always lead it in and make them know or let them know that it is what many people do or most people do, or something that's very common. It's taking something that to them may not make much sense or not be common in their mind, but if everybody else is doing it, oh, okay. And I do the same thing when I'm presenting products. It's like, well, this is the most commonly ordered item for my seniors is this senior art book. Or when people are ordering wall portraits, the most popular size is 16 by 24 or whatever it's going to be. Then it takes something again that seems kind of foreign to them. It's like, well, if most other people are doing that, then I guess that's what we want to take a look at. You can use that for just about anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it comes back down to how you present yourself, how you present your business. Schedule it on your terms, sell it on
Mhm.
your terms. Don't take or let go of the controls. That's for sure.
That's a good point, Carl. I feel like a lot of photographers, again, because we have big hearts, we let people run our business and we don't run our own business.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I had a good idea. Oh wait,
What
I
was it?
gotta celebrate. I gotta celebrate. Sociable. Hold on.
Sociable. Wait, everybody have a drink. Carl's got an idea.
That
It's
was
his
a
one idea.
celebratory thing.
It's his one
Okay,
idea
I'm
he's
sorry. Go
allowed
ahead.
per week.
Keep talking about my good idea, Michael, because this is really cool.
You better not. Yeah, you better not have too many more good ideas. I'm
You're running
almost
out of
out of
wine.
wine.
Gosh, I hope that wasn't my last good idea of the year. I mean, because there might be a quota, but keep talking about my good idea, Michael.
Well, this week has been a long
I
year.
forgot. It's been too long. I forgot. What was that good idea again?
You mean I have to remember it too?
Yeah,
Oh,
I can't.
goodness.
I don't remember what it was now.
We're taking control of our business. We don't let other people
Oh
run our lives.
yeah, we have to run our business out of net. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let people run your business. I mean, you dictate the products that you offer. You dictate the time that you work. You dictate what session times are, how long the sessions are. You need to be in control of all those things. I see the exact same thing. There's one of the things that drives me crazy is parents who don't have any control of their kids. Does this drive you guys nuts? Oh
Mhm.
my gosh. Where the kids, you got a 6-year-old kid who has no clue of boundaries or parameters or anything like that. And they're running the show. Okay, you're a 30-some-year-old mom. Why are you letting everybody run the show? You're the mom. You need to be in charge. Well, the same thing with your business. You're the owner. You're in charge of your business. You get to set all the policies. You get to set everything. And if people don't like it, wow, screw them. No, if people don't like that, then you need to make you need to make it more palatable to them. You need to present that in a confident manner. And if you get a lot of pushback over and over again, maybe you do need to take a step back and say, okay, am I doing this wrong? Or what can I change to make this work better? And not necessarily change the policy to fit what they want, but maybe make a change to how you present it, maybe some of the parameters with it. Always take a look at those things and self-analyze. If you're having issues with anything in your business, I guarantee you it's something you're doing wrong. It's not the clients. I see people blaming the clients all the time, but I guarantee you it's something that you're doing wrong. It's either the policy itself or the practice itself, or probably more likely how you present it.
Yes, absolutely. I agree 100%. And one thing I've learned over the years is to assess problems before they become a problem. And again, I'm going to come back to you have time right now. So put together your information, so that I have things that I send out. I reaffirm it in a clothing consultation. Like this is how things work. And there's emails and there's several different things. I walk them through the process so that no one's taken off guard. Like, oh wait, we have to come here and look at these photos. Like what? My other photographer didn't do that. It's like, sorry, I'm not your other photographer. And it's hard to say that. And every once
I have
in a
no
while,
issue with that.
yeah,
Because
I
you
do.
came to me for some reason because
Yep.
you probably weren't happy with your other photographer.
Right. And what upsets me is when I do this and I stress it, at least 3 times to everyone, and someone comes rolling in and says, and it's usually a dad, unfortunately, because he's kind of been left out of the situation. He's like, I've been blindsided by this. It's like, well, but in the same sense, he tells me, or this has happened to me, where he'll say, yeah, I should have looked at this, or I know you talked about this, however, and so I still have somewhat the upper hand on it because I did follow everything. I wasn't trying to be shady. I went through all my information. So they have to understand where I'm coming from, which at least makes the situation more easy to deal with. Professional. Yes, that's a better word. So yeah, just, stick to your policies. And I always use the I don't want to say excuse, but the line that, well, if it's not fair to everyone else who did this, I have to be equally fair to everyone. So let's talk on how we can, work. Like, yes, I could maybe come in on a Saturday if I don't, have anything going on. I'll make an exception. I understand things come up, or I understand that might be the only time. Yeah, I'll come in on a Saturday, but I'm not going to advertise, and I'm not going to work every Saturday and take time away from my life and my family to accommodate everyone else. Because guess what? They aren't going to accommodate for me. They're going to be gone on the weekend doing whatever, or worse, reschedule. Like, oh, you know what? Something came up. Yeah, so-and-so's, invited us up to their cabin for the weekend, so I'd rather do that. And then I changed all my plans. No.
Exactly. And one caution to everybody out there, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this many times, and it bit me in the butt and so many times that I finally learned the lesson. As soon as you start to bend your rules, and as soon as you start to make exceptions to your policies, that's when people really start to take advantage of you. I've seen this happen with other photographers I've coached too. It's, well, you set this policy, but you let them do this. And then as soon as they gain control, they're going to start hitting you for everything. It's like, oh, well, I can only come in on Saturday, and you come in, you set the time on Saturday, and then they don't come in. And yeah, you give them an inch, they take a mile. Absolutely.
Which is why I stopped. I mean, I learned that, and I'm up in the UP, and we were in the area of, 7 weeks of the whole summer, when it's not snowy. On Friday, I don't even schedule appointments on Friday afternoon anymore. I will do a family portrait if it's mom and dad and little ones that they have. I'll pick and choose, but for the most part, I won't even book it because I know it's going to happen. I know they're like, oh, our friends all decided that they're going to go there, and he wanted to go water skiing, and I get it. I want to be water skiing too, but then just don't organize a session at that point in time. So I remember back, this is actually kind of funny. When I was first getting started in my business, and when I left the studio I used to work for, and this is back in all 100% natural light days, and I didn't have strobes to go out of the studio with, and I worked, and I didn't have any kids at the time, so I worked in the evenings, sweet light all the time when we went outside. And I remember the images, people were starting to go nuts over. More photographers were going crazy for them and everything, and started gaining popularity. And a very seasoned person from Madison at the time actually called me up. I remember thinking, why is this guy calling me? He's like, big guy and everything. And he's like, how do you get all those images that you're doing? How do you get the lighting to look like that? And I said, well, I only work at times of day when it's good light. He's like, really? You won't take them out in the middle of the day? I said, no, because I won't compromise. That's the only time that I can do the lighting scenario that I want to use. And so it was kind of funny because, again, it comes back to your schedule, taking control of it, and not just for our business, but for our art. And for me, the art was to light correctly at the right time of day. And it's just kind of funny. I could imagine the look on his face going, I can't get my employees to stay here after hours to do that. And I go, well, that's how we're different. So, but you got to do it in every aspect of what we do, and not just the business, but the art of what we're doing as well.
Another roadblock. I see this again from a lot of photographers where they aren't making the money they need to make. Nobody's making any money right now, but let's go back a couple of months and let's jump forward a year, and let's talk about, back to regular times. People who are hitting the roadblock where they're not making the money that they really feel like they should be making. It's a big roadblock. How do you get around that? What are the causes for that particular phenomenon?
It could be, I don't know, location, might be part of it.
Yeah.
You're just the way you price things too. I mean, again, we're back to people giving things away, and I see a lot of people, especially that are just getting started, that they're like, oh, geez, well, it cost me $3 to make it, so I'm going to charge $2.50 for this, and that's 50 cents profit. No, this isn't a loaf of bread. And
Right.
it's not just what the photograph cost. I mean, we got to think of all the different things, the insurance and the vehicle and your rent and everything has to go into it. And I think part of it, you got to learn how to charge for your work so you can make a living, so that if you don't have the volume or whatever volume you have that you feel comfortable with to gain or to remain in the quality range that you want to remain in and the experience that you want to give, you need to make sure that you price it in a way that it's going to stay sufficient for you.
I remember when I used to teach my pricing class at the college, I would present to the students who had a similar mindset to what you're talking about, because some of them were trying to run side businesses too. And I'd have them submit their price list to me, and then I would cringe and I'd cry and all that kind of stuff. But I would present to them that if you have a session, and say it's a family session, and all you sell is one 8x10, what should you charge for that? And they'd go, well, it's on my price list. It's $5. It's like, well, you just lost $148. And they'd be like, what? So I would sit there and I would go through all the math on the whiteboard, how much it costs for that particular, from the lab to have it sprayed, but all the time that went, and then the portion of overhead that needs to be covered as part of that, because that's the only sale you're making. You spent all this time, and the only sale you're making is one 8x10. You spent all this time, so once you apportion all the time and the portion of the overhead that needs to be recouped in there and everything else, it was $153 that they would need to charge for that, and people were freaking out. And I said, well, will people pay $153 for an 8x10? And they were like, oh no. It's like, well, they might. It's in the realm of reality, because I know people who are charging that for 8x10s, but let's just assume that in this marketplace and for your work that they're not going to pay $153 for that. What if you sold them more than one 8x10? What if they bought 3 of them? Well, once you've put all the time and everything into it, then additional copies of the same thing are really just incremental costs. So it's just the $2.50 or $3 from the lab. So now your cost on that, you can split up 3 ways. Then you could charge, $55 per 8x10. Do you think you could charge $55 per 8x10? Well, sure. Okay. Now, do you see what I'm talking about here? You need to understand all the numbers that go into the pricing. You need to know what all your costs are. And you also need to do more than sell a single 8x10. This is one reason why we have wall portraits, because why do we sell wall portraits? Number one, because that's going to get the maximum enjoyment value for the customer, because they're going to see it on their wall in the proper size, and they're going to be able to enjoy that. And that's called emotional return on investment. That's a whole separate episode. We'll talk about that at some point. But also because then you've got a profit margin built into there that'll help you sustain your business for the time you spent with that customer. You sell them one 8x10 for $5, you might as well just be handing out $20 bills, because you're going to be further ahead in the game than you are running a business.
Yeah. And
Dan's going to complain he didn't think there was going to be any math in this.
well, no, I dozed off there for a second because you were talking business, but no.
Sociable.
That's what I wanted. Sociable. I'm out.
That's terrible.
This, by the way, is the last of my scotch. Until Tuesday, because I've got a shipment.
Times are tough.
Sound really bad. I have a shipment coming in.
Wow.
I joke about dozing off during business, but I know we've all had this conversation too, is especially this time that we're in, and everyone, we keep stressing, educate and do use your time wisely. And what I should say with that is invest your time in learning business stuff,
right,
which isn't sexy, it isn't fun, it isn't exciting. Yeah, I'd rather see that cool video on gels, and I'd rather learn this, I'd rather learn that shooting angle and all the trends and everything. Yeah, that's fun, it's exciting, we're creatives, that's fun. But and that's important, but not as important as all the information you just gave on business and the things that we need to have tied up and have, systems in place again when this happens and when we get the rebound so that we can come out running. And again, I can speak from experience and saying when I started over, I could have lowballed and been really cheap. And I thought about it. It's like, oh, I just need some money. And I know a lot of you are thinking this right now. I'm just going to do things cheap and just try and get money in the bank. And I went through that. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that because I've been preaching this. I've been teaching like, no, I can't just do this now. I'd be phony. I'd be a hypocrite if I did that. And not only that, what I always preached is, okay, that might be good for a short term, but you're just going to gain clients that are not your ideal client.
Right.
So if you have a good quality product, if you have a product that is different than everyone else, that you're going to stand out, people will pay for it. Yes, it's a luxury item, but like I said earlier, I think we're in a time where people are going to value photography, and you put your price tag on it, this is a right price, and have confidence. As artists, I think we lack confidence, and therefore we don't price ourselves as we should. And I know other people that have tons of confidence, and their photography maybe isn't all that great, and they're doing great because they have confidence, and they're like, this is what I'm worth.
And they treat it like a business too.
And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't try and slash your prices to get quick money. I know it's tempting, but if you stay the course, as I think Michael said earlier too, or Carl, and price yourself and work on your pricing and really know your numbers, you'll survive and thrive.
Don't make it about what it costs. Make it about what it's worth.
Right.
Plain and simple.
The number one thing I tell somebody when they're looking at starting a photography business, I get into, do you have your pricing together? Do you have your numbers together? No. Or they do, and it's always low. Like, where do these prices come from? Well, I looked at a bunch of other people and this is what they're charging. No, you're making an assumption that they know what they're doing and that they're actually making money in their business. And this is where you see I hate to use the term, it's viral, where, this bad business photographer, touches this one and it perpetuates this whole bad pricing scenario. And I give them the talk about knowing your numbers and knowing how to price based on that, and that you are better off if you don't think you can go out there and ask for $1,000 for a portrait package or whatever it's going to be. Then you need to spend more time figuring that out and just keep giving your work away for free rather than just charging a pittance for it. I'd rather see you get your work to the point where you feel like you're confident where you can go out and charge this amount of money and be a real business person with this than to hit the roadblock of, I started early and I was pricing my 8x10s at $5 and I'm afraid to raise the price because I'm going to what? Lose all my customers. Mm-hmm. Right. But you started wrong. You started off wrong. And then you get caught in that whole self-perpetuating roadblock of bad pricing. Get your pricing right to begin with. Here's the other benefit of that is if you start with an appropriate price that's going to be a higher price than that, there's pressure on you to perform and provide the level and quality of product that meets that price. So therefore you're providing what? Value. It's great for everybody then. Then you've got pressure to up your game to meet the price that you're asking for versus, trying to raise your prices across an established clientele. And Benji even agrees with me.
He did. I heard it right away. Attaboy, Benji. You tell him.
Way to go, Benji.
Yeah.
I hope that was Benji and that wasn't Steph.
I'm pretty sure it was Benji. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Benji.
We'll go with that.
Short and hairy, probably Benji.
Probably, yeah. Too funny.
Benji says, raise your prices.
I couldn't translate canine, but
that's what it was.
Well, see, but the thing is, if you do charge correctly or do put a value, then you do get to do the education that's all sexy, like Dan was saying before. Then you do dive in and it gives you an incentive, the carrot at the end to say, I need to learn this better. I need to become more of a craftsperson to make myself feel like I'm worth what I'm charging people. So it's just a continuous circle. It's a wonderful thing. Embrace that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is which we all know too, is people who, when you have your prices set higher, people value you more. They complain less. They don't question you as an artist. They're less picky. I put way more pressure on myself to perform, and I think, again, comes down to confidence. My prices are pretty darn high. And there's days when I'm like, man, I hope I can perform, like Michael said. But what's the worst case scenario is maybe they're not happy. And so, okay, let's do a reshoot. Let's do what we can to make it. I've never had to do that, knock on wood, and thank God.
Don't knock on the microphone.
Yeah, I did that last time, punched it. But you can always do it over, and instead of being like, I'll raise it next year when I get better, or what I always, stress, in my pricing and everything, which, by the way, is my lowest selling product, sadly, because it's more fun to buy fog brushes and fabric overlays than to work on pricing. What I always say is, like, just work on it and keep improving, and people love you for who you are. That's number one. When you raise your prices, you may lose a few people, but then they didn't really believe in you. They were just price shopping anyways,
Right. They love you for what you charge, not who you are, what you do.
Right. And I see a lot of people giving luxury quality work, but they don't have the confidence. And I just want to tell them, like, you can do this. Like, this is beautiful. You can do it.
So any other roadblocks out there, you guys?
Yeah, actually, you guys kind of brought one up before and we kind of skipped it, but talking about wall portraits, I'm sorry, guys, I don't have any wall space for anything larger than 8x10. So I think this is the size that it should be. Go.
Do you live in a glass house? literally, that's what I say, because I've gotten that, not very often, but it's like, well, we just don't have any walls. I'm like, I'm sorry, do you live outside? Oh, no, we have walls. It's like, but we don't have any place to put a portrait. It's like, well, do you live in a glass house? Do you live in a terrarium? And that usually will get them to laugh a little bit. It's like, look, I'm sure that you've got a place in your house that you can dedicate to probably one of the most valuable things you will ever own, and that's going to be a portrait of your family. At this moment in time, this is your family, and you guys will never look like this again, because guess what? A year from now, you're all going to be older. Mom, Dad, you're going to look a year older too. So this is your last opportunity to get your family on the wall where you can enjoy it every day. I can tell you, and this is a story I tell my clients, and I tell this when I speak, the first family portrait of the four of us, me and Lisa and Brianna and Patrick, when Patrick was, I don't know, maybe 5 months old. And it hangs in our living room, and I see it every day. When I sit in my living room and I have my coffee, I sit in a chair where I can see our first family portrait. And it's a beautiful classic portrait. It's not fantastic, but it's us. You couldn't pay me enough money. You couldn't give me $1 million to buy this from me. I'm serious. You couldn't give me $1 million. You couldn't give me $100,000.
I could always print it over.
Do I hear 5,000? Do I hear 5,000?
500,000. 500,000.
I've seen that portrait, by the way. How much liquefy did you do on yourself?
I was younger.
See, we never look better than we do right now.
Dude, that was shot on film. That was a Mamiya 645 Pro. That was shot on film. It was probably shot on VPS.
Rated at 80.
And I meant liquefy like your muscles, making them larger, making those larger. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah. Gave myself more hair too.
Yeah, and I struggled with wall portraits, so I came up with a system that basically, again, people, like, if they don't have a system in place, like, oh, I just want to do a la carte pricing. Well, then they're driving the business, themselves. It's like, okay, I came up with a system where you can do a la carte, or you can do a creative collection, and that you step through the steps. So if they don't want to do a wall portrait, fine, they can do a la carte, but I'm going to have more profit on those items. And really, when they look at everything, they say, oh yeah. I go, it just pays to do a wall portrait because they're actually saving money in the long run. And they can do a montage or something that's a wall portrait. It doesn't have to be the headshot. So I've created a system to kind of curve a lot of those questions. Same thing with digital files. I know we've been talking a lot about portraits. Digital files is a big thing. So I've come up with, either all inclusive, or you can do an app. Social media files. There's tons of different ways. If the questions people are going to ask.
Oh,
so
really? Yeah.
So put together systems that benefit you as a business and don't come off like you're saying no, or, even if you feel like you're forcing someone into something. It's like when I go to a restaurant, which I can't do at the moment, but
Right.
if I order out, it's like, I don't really like beans and rice with my burrito, but guess what? It comes with it, Or it's like you go, wine. I know this glass of wine is going to be a lot more expensive in the restaurant. I know what that bottle costs, but you're paying for the experience. And that's what we do. We're, don't just think like Michael said, 8x10 costs $3. Well, it's what's printed on that 8x10. It's about the experience. If you hand someone a $100 bill and a $1 bill, guess what? They're both green. They're both the same size. Which one is more valuable? It's what's printed on that. Boom, drop the mic. I'm leaving with that.
And I think that's a good thing to wrap on, although I think a future episode might be talking about digital images and how we address that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so this episode has been brought to you by Smoked Salmon Vodka. Is there anything more Alaskan than salmon flavored vodka? Smoked Salmon Vodka from Alaska Distillery. And by the way, these are all real liquors and beers that I mentioned here at the end. So there's some weird stuff out there.
That's beautiful.
as long as you don't make us drink them during the episode.
I'm trying to get a sponsorship. Come on, guys. You want to go for a sponsorship?
Sponsors, absolutely. Anytime.
I love salmon vodka.
Love
salmon
it.
Vodka
It was
jam, man.
greatest disgusting thing I've ever drank. But
it goes well with bagels.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have my salmon vodka with bagels. On that note, until next time, guys. Best part of waking up is salmon vodka in my cup.
Yeah. Cheers, everybody.
Last call.
You've been listening to the Photo Happy Hour podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to not miss a single action-packed episode. And join our Photo Happy Hour Facebook group where we'll post links to the stuff we all talk about. You can find my MoLight gear online at www.gomolight.com. That's GOMOLIGHT.com. You can find the Facebook page under MoLight Store, and I also run the Godox Flash Help Group on Facebook. You can find Dan's Senior Unlocked website at www.seniorsunlocked.com. That's seniors with an S at the end, unlocked.com, and the Facebook group under Seniors Unlocked. And you can find Carl's Coaching Corner at www.ccphotocoach.com, ccphotocoach.com. Till next time, cheers to you.